If you're in incognito, well, then it will probably be the same. Try it. You can go to your upload page from week. One other thing we need to do on our beer listings, I'm going to put in a another test beer. ASAT realized that we have a little flaw in our logic with our code when we're editing, so I'm just going to add a test here and put in an image. So when I save that one, my image shows up, so this is good. The problem is if I change something here, so let's say we put our beer on sale, I'm going to hit save. My edit worked, the price changed from 44 to 42. However, my image file is no longer attached to that record. Right? The logo's still here, the file's on the server, but it's basically, we've orphaned it. There's no link anymore between that logo and that beer. So there's a little flaw in our logic. If we look at our save page, why, when I edit a beer but don't put a logo into it, why is it detaching that image file? If we look at our logic here. So here's where we're saving. Here's where we save a new image if we have one, but none of this code runs, right? We don't have any of this code. I didn't pick an image. I didn't upload. So so it runs my update. So obviously this logo value, this final name, it's blank, right? Because I didn't choose to upload an image. There's already an image there. I don't want to have to upload the image every time I make an update. If I change the price, I shouldn't have to re-upload that same picture. Yeah, so let's see. We're populating our logo with our variable called final name. Well, we only coded it. We're only setting final name when we're doing an image upload. Well, I didn't upload an image this time, so yeah, exactly, Artem. That final name variable is null. So what we're going to need to do is we'll need an else statement here, and we'll need a way to keep the existing image name if the user hasn't uploaded a new logo. So we're going to need to do two things. We're going to need to go to our beer page and scroll down. So we've already got our logo variable. So this is the section where we display the logo if we have one. Right? If our logo is not empty, then display an image tag with that logo. However, what we also want to do is we're going to need another hidden field. So let's store the current logo name in a hidden field. And then on our save page, if the user hasn't uploaded an image, we can grab the current name. So we're not wiping it out and setting it back to null. So put in a second input with type equals hidden. I don't want to use the name of logo because we've already named something here. We'll call it current logo, meaning a logo that already exists. Give it an ID of current logo. And we'll print into this hidden field the name of what the logo is currently. Now, if the user uploads an image, we can ignore this field on our save page. We won't need it. We'll only need it in the event that they're editing an existing record but haven't bothered to upload another JPEG or PNG. So I'm going to save that. We can just check it out. So I better put my logo back into this one first. So I'll put it back. So now if we view the source, now our current logo file is showing up. So when we post to the next page, we know what the name of that image is. Okay, so that was all. This is all we added. And we're going to need to make a change on our save page. We'll need an else statement. So we'll go here. Here's our if statement that uploads an image. If we don't have an image to upload, we'll say else. And again, we want to check if that value is empty. If the user's adding a new record, that value is going to be empty, and we want this to be ignored. So let's check our current logo if it's not empty. In the event they didn't browse and choose a file, get the existing name. If we have one, we might not. There might be a beer with no logo, in which case this code gets ignored too. We'll have to try this out. I think this should fix our problem. So all I've added was this section. So line 74 to 79. Try it out on yours, see if it works. Go to edit a beer that has a logo. Don't choose a new logo. Save your changes, just maybe change the price, and then go back and see whether your logo is still there. If it is, we did it properly.
Yes.
Works. Anybody else? I'll try it on mine to see whether I did it right. So I'm going to change my price. No one's buying my lousy beer, so I'm going to knock the price down again. I won't browse to a new file. I'll just leave the existing logo and save. My price got updated from 42 to 40, and now my logo is still here. So I should be able to go and update any record now, leave the existing logo as it is. Okay. Are there any questions about what we're doing here? Looking okay? They said thank you for pointing that out. So unless there are any questions about this, I want to look at adding column sorting to our page. So most of the time, when we present grids of data to users, usually users can sort them, right? How would I sort? How would I be able to sort? Let's say I wanted to see the team with the best road record. What would I do? Well, that's close. A filter would show me, we're going to do a filter later. Filtering is when we're seeing some of the records, but not all of the records. We want to see records, but we want to change the order in which they're displayed. How would I do it on this page? Yeah, and what would I do as the user to resort the data? What can I do as the end user? Yeah, if I click this heading that says road, right, it sorts. So the highest number sorts descending to ascending. What if I want to sort it in the opposite direction with the worst road record first? What would I do? Just click it again, right? And now I get from the worst to the best. Okay. There's also a bit of a visual indicator here, right? That all the values in that column are bold, so I can tell that this column is being used for sorting. If I want to sort on something else, I click it, sorts one way, click it again, sorts the other way. So they've used bold here. What would be the other typical visual cue that we might see in an HTML grid when we're sorting? Yeah, we might see an arrow beside a little up or down arrow beside the column heading. So we want to implement this on our beer listings page. So we should be able to click on any one of these 5 columns and have our data sort up and down, and then we click it again, it should go in the opposite direction. And we want some kind of little visual indication of that. Now, typically when I've done this lesson in the past, I've done that sorting by modifying our PHP code, and doing it is quite involved. It's pretty complicated because we have to rewrite our query, and we also have to keep track of, are we sorting up or down, and then which way do we sort the next time. There's a much easier way of doing this. And that is, we're just going to use a simple JavaScript that I did not write, but it's open source and we can use it. So if you jump into your lesson 11 folder, third item in the list here is a JavaScript called sorttable. So open that up. And they've made this super simple. The instructions are here. So this is how it works. Here's a sample. Right? I click on name, it sorts. Click it again, it sorts the opposite direction. I can click any column, and it also includes the little arrows. So you can try that sample. So here's in the middle, it says how to use it. Download, link to the script, add a class to your HTML table tag. I want you to go ahead and try that. And pay careful attention to the name of the script file and the name of the class you're applying. They're slightly different. it explains that right here. Download the file. Just download it. We already have a scripts folder, I believe, in our project, so you may as well save it to the scripts folder. Then we can add a link to that script and add the class to your table. And it should sort. And this is on your beers.php.
Change the table class that's already there.
Just add that on. Yeah, you don't have to take out the bootstrap classes. You can just add a space and add sortable into the table tag as an additional class. The link is on Blackboard. Right here, Brad, third item in lesson 11. Has anybody gotten theirs to work? Not yet. Yeah, so now you need to link to it on your beers page. And then add the class. Okay, yes, you got it there. You just need to save it into your folder where your web pages are for today. Well, no, you just save it into the existing scripts directory. Yeah.
And where we put the
Well, which page do we want to be able to add the column sorting to?
oh,
Yeah, so link it up to your beer page, and then you can add the class to the table that we have there. It should sort.
yeah, One click it appears arrow which not on all the columns.
Sorry?
The arrow.
Well, the arrow shows you, it only can sort, it's only sorting one column at a time.
Yeah, okay.
So it shows you which column is being currently sorted.
Should I?
Yeah, that's fine. It doesn't really matter. If you think you may want to use it on multiple pages, it would make sense to put it, well, probably the footer is, right? Typically put our JS links in our footer. If it's only going on one page. That's good. Good. Okay, so let's have a look at how we do this. So I'm just going to download this library. I'll just save the link. And I'll save it into my scripts folder as sort table. Now they've said to put a link in the header. We don't typically put our JS links in the header anymore. So I have a couple of options. I could put it somewhere right on my beers page, because right now that's the only page on the site to have a table. However, if I wanted to build other pages with HTML grids to automatically include it there, where might it make more sense to put this? Yep, so what file should I add it to? Yeah, the footer might be a logical place to put a JavaScript link, because then any page in the site will have access to that script. So I could put it on beers. I've already got JavaScript in my footer, so I'll paste it in here. So I'll put in a script, source equals. If you wanted to add it directly to the beers page, no problem. If you want to add it to the header, no problem. I'm going to put mine in the footer because that's the most typical place for it to go. So now if I open my beers page, here's my table tag. We've already got a few classes here, table and table striped. All I have to do now is add sortable with one T. So the script name has two T's, but the class inside of it has one T. And it says that right in their documentation. So I just add space sortable. I'm applying a third class to my table tag. And now, when I click on any column, it sorts and I get a little arrow.
Short, all the rows, all the columns.
Well, it doesn't sort all the columns. It moves the data,
Okay.
right? So Corona is 4395. If I sort, it's that entire record gets moved to the bottom. It's not mixing up the data. That would be a real problem. That'd be a really bad JavaScript. Now, there's only one other thing I'd like to do with it. One thing I don't like, and they've done the same here on this site, is when I mouse, well, actually, sorry, they've done it here, is when I mouse over, there should be an indicator to the user that, hey, I can click on that. Whereas with ours, the script works, but there's no indicator to the user that they can actually click on those headings. So there are a few different ways we could do that. The simple way I'm going to do it, I'm just going to take my TH tags. If we just wrap the 5 table headings, not edit and delete. If we just put an anchor tag around them, then the user will get the cursor when they mouse over it, indicating to them that they can click it. So I'll just put in basically just a dummy or an inactive link here. I've just broken my THs into separate lines. But now the links they'll turn blue. I'll get a rollover effect. I'll get the link being underlined and changing color, and I'll get the little cursor hand. This isn't required, but I think it just gives the user it's a better interface. The user will now understand that they can click those things. So it'll look like this. Right? These are black, and I don't get any cursor here. But these are styled the same as my other links with Bootstrap. So I think it's a better user experience by adding that. We could do it other ways. You could use some other kind of indicator or some other class on those links that would automatically generate the cursor. But this is a nice, easy, portable, flexible JavaScript. We can add it to any application. And it's the developer, open source, was kind enough to open source it. You know, the script is old. I wish I'd found this a long time ago. I've spent a lot of time manually writing code for sorting. And he says, here's my license. Do what you like with it, which is great. So any site we build is probably going to have this feature. So we can easily just add this in. In fact, I've built a number of applications. I should probably add this JavaScript too. So really all the script does is it reads through, looks for all the HTML TRs and TDs, parses them out, and rebuilds the table for us. I'm going to delete my test here. So all we had to do was link to the script and add the sortable class to our table tag. Are there any questions about using this little JavaScript? So there's one other feature I want to look at adding today. This won't be quite as simple, be a little more complicated. We want to make our beer listings searchable. So we're going to do this in 2 steps. We want to add a little text box and a search button above our list where the user could type in, we'll kind of do it in phases. First, they can type in a word and we'll see if we can match that word. Then what we want to do is allow them to type in multiple words, and we want to be able to search for any word that they type in. The last thing we're going to do is give the user a choice to search for one of the keywords or all of the keywords. Okay, we'll take a look at how this works. So let's go here for a minute. Have a look at a keyword search. So I want to search for, let's say, PHP. So I search PHP. I'll just make a quick note of this. So I find 1,745 results on this website. If I search MySQL, I get 1432. what will happen if I search both PHP and MySQL? Do you expect we're going to get less than 14? Both, it'll only show jobs that have both keywords, you think? You agree? Anybody disagree? Anybody think we're going to get more than 1,700? Chad, West, you guys think so? Okay, well, let's try it and see. So in this case, right, for PHP and MySQL, so we can pretty much deduce what type of search this is running, right? By default, when we use that keyword search, how is it running if we get that result when we enter multiple words? Yeah, it's looking for every word, right? Which we may not want to do because maybe I have two different skills and I'm happy with either of them, right? I'll take a PHP job or a MySQL job. Doesn't have to have both. I want to see results that will match either one. They probably have this ability for me to change it. What could I do? Where would I go if I want to search jobs that meet either one of these criteria, but it doesn't have to be both? We could try that. There's actually a link on here that'll give me that option. If I go to the advanced search, right, this is the default, all of the keywords. If I put in PHP and MySQL, I'm going to get 630 results, the same query I just did. Or we could say with at least one. So in this case, I would bet there'll probably be about 2,000 jobs. Probably most of the, well, obviously 630 of those overlap, right? But that means there are 1,100 jobs that say PHP and don't say MySQL, and there's 800 jobs that say MySQL and don't say PHP. So I should get over 2,000 results when I search for, and I do. Right? You could do the math and figure it out. So in a good search, what we actually want to do is give users a choice. How do they want to do it? So they had it through the advanced search. What we're going to do is, let's see. We're going to do ours this way. First, we'll just do the keyword search, and we'll do it as an or search only. But then we'll build a little drop down so I could search, I can give the user, I find this is better than having an advanced search page. This is easier. Just give them the option right here. Search all the words or search any word. So we'll build that in at the end. Okay. So it will look something like this. So if I search for one keyword, I get those three. If I say any keyword, here I get anything that has one or both. But if I say all, I only get this. The other thing we need to keep in mind is we're going to have to split these words up and search for them individually. Because even when I search for both of these words as an or and I get 2,500, this is not one search term, right? PHP and MySQL, those words aren't necessarily together. We want to find it where a job where it has PHP anywhere in the job and MySQL anywhere in the job. They don't have to be together. And PHP doesn't have to come first. So we're going to need to split up each word and search individually. If I add 3 keywords, we'll need to identify that there's 3 separate terms we're looking for. So the first thing is we're going to add a little search section on here. So we'll want a text box and a search button for starters. We'll add the drop down with the choices of all words or any word later. So let's go to our beers page. And right underneath, we've got our heading here, our H1, and then we have our PHP. So we're going to want to create our little search form right here. We're going to align it off to the right. So I'll use Bootstrap. We'll make it the full width of the page of the container, and we'll align it off to the right. This is the one and only time in this class we're going to build a form that uses get. We want to use get so that the keywords will appear in the URL, and we're going to reload the same page. So here's what it will look like again. When I type something here and hit search, it's using get, so our keywords appear at the end of our page, and then we know what to search for. And most search pages use get. If we go back to this site, you can see there are our keywords. So we're going to use get, and our action is just beers.php. We're not going to another page. We're reloading this same page, but passing in the keywords. And I'm also going to add a class of form inline. This will make the form horizontal rather than having the elements stacked vertically. We just want them beside each other. So we'll put on a label. It says keywords. We'll put on an input box called keywords. This isn't going to be required. Users don't have to fill this out. And we'll put on a button. I'll use maybe BTN success, so our search box will be green. And it'll say search. So nothing fancy, just a straight HTML form with a label, a text box, and a submit button. So if you reload your page, you should get this inline form above your beer list and off to the right. Should look like this. So later on, we'll add the drop-down list here between the text box and the submit button, but we'll leave that out for now. That'll be the last piece. Big. So let's look at our SQL query for a minute. Right now, we select all the beers with no filter. So now we're getting into the filter part, right? You mentioned filtering before, right? We have no filter in our query because we get everything. So a filter is where we have some kind of where clause. Right? We don't want everything. We want to specify. We only want some of the data, not all of it. Right? So we're going to need a where clause here. In what part of this SQL command does the where clause go? Do we put it at the end of what we already have? if the user puts in a keyword. Yeah, order by is going to have to go at the end. We have our where clause is going to go here first. I'm just going to take this query for a minute. Let's think about it. So my order by clause is going to go down at the end. Let's say the user searches for they put in a search for the word keyword Corona. So I type Corona here. Hope if I spelled it right. Let's think about what will we need to do to filter this list. How do we take that value? So we've got where. What should that where clause look like if the user types Corona in the search box? Brad? Okay. Well, we could do it like this, where name equals, well, in this case, I'll hard code in Corona, right? We could do it like that, order by name. So it would bring up any beers. Actually, here, why don't I go in? I've already got Corona Light. I'm going to add Corona as well. I won't bother with a logo. We'll have two beers in here called Corona, which I think is 4.5. I won't bother with a logo. I have these two records. Now I could run the search like this. If I run the search like this with my database, how many beers are going to come back? One. How many beers should it return? One beer if this is my listing? Yeah, we probably want to use like instead. So rather than it matching the entire name where that word is anywhere in the name, right? That's how this search works, right? When I search PHP MySQL, it's not doing an exact search. It's where those words appear anywhere. So we probably want to use like instead. That would be better. And what else should we do if we're using like? We're not doing an exact search. Right, we're going to want percent signs here, right? So this would bring up both Corona and Corona Light, which is good. That's what we want. So if I put in one keyword, it's going to generate one condition. Whoops, sorry. This should be where name. I wiped that out. It's going to generate one condition in my where clause. Right, thank you. The like is a substitute for equals. So this query would work if I go and just grab it. I'll dump it into my SQL Workbench quickly and run it. We should get the result that we want, which is good. I'll just open this up. So to fix those. So when I run this, we get the two results, Corona and Corona Light. Great. Let me add another beer. Now, if I want my search to be an or search, search any beer that has Corona in the name or any beer that has light in the name. What should my query be like this time? So now I have two keywords. What do we want our query to be? If I've put in both the words Corona and light, and it doesn't matter what order they're in, I could have put in light and Corona. I should get the same result.
Add all.
Just
Add all.
Okay, so name, like,
or similar in code percentage.
Have to repeat the name column again. Sorry?
Because you don't have to specify the name column.
You do. Without it,
Okay.
you get a syntax error.
Okay.
Each condition is completely separate from the others. Okay, so I do need name. So now, how many beers should I get if this is my list? I should get 3. Corona, Corona Light, Sleeman Light. Corona, Corona Light, Sleeman Light. What if I add another word? Or name like red. So now I get red, now I get 4. So for every word the user types in our box, we need another condition in our where clause, right? Do we know how many words every user is going to add in? No, we don't know, right? The user can add in as many words as they want to. So this part of building the conditions, this is going to have to be done dynamically. This is the complicated part, right? We need to search for every word individually rather than just searching for the whole term, which will never find any results. So we have to take this, if the user types in Corona Light and red, we have to take that one value and we have to split it up into a list of individual values. And then we have to loop through those values and create each condition separately with the word or in between. So it's a little bit complicated to get it to work. You know, we can do a basic search where we just do an exact match for one word, but if there's multiple words, it gets more complicated. So this is what we're going to have to do so it replicates and works like the other search page we're looking at on the Wow Jobs website. Okay? So this is where we're going. These pieces will have to happen in a loop. So if the user enters 4 keywords, we have 4 conditions in the where clause. The user enters 2 keywords, we have 2 conditions in the where clause. So first we'll do it and we'll always use or, and then we'll make this part a variable as well, where the user can choose or they can choose and if they want all keywords. So this is where we're going with the code. We're going to take a break here, and then we'll start adding this code. We're going to have to break up this SQL query, and before we can just prepare it and run it, we're going to need to write all of the logic to go and get each individual word and in a loop create a new condition in our where clause. We're building our where clause one condition at a time. And then we'll stick it all together before we execute the query. Okay, so we're going to have to run a whole bunch of code in here. So that's what we'll do when we come back at 11. Okay, let's take a break.